It's the Muppets Minute Show with hosts Nick and Annie. Yay! It's time to talk about the Muppets movies minute by minute. Today we're talking about the Muppet Movie, Minute 1. Minute 1 starts with a fade in from black and ends with Waldorf and Statler being driven onto the movie studio lot. And our journey begins here, Annie.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
This is our first minute. We obviously owe a great deal of gratitude to the Star Wars Minute guys and all the Movies by Minute podcasts that came before us. And I still can't believe to this day that, I mean, Annie and I have known each other for a while, but I still can't believe to this day when I came to her and said, "Hey, Annie, you know how neither of us have any spare time in our lives? Do you want to break down a movie minute by minute and do a podcast about it?" And she actually said yes.
Well, because it's fun. It sounds fun.
It does.
I'm really excited, and I like to make time. We both, I know, are very, very busy people. Everybody, I think, who does these minutes are obviously very busy people. But you know what? We got to make time for the fun in our lives. So.
And the funny thing about it is I went through all these other things we could do a minute podcast about, and she was like, "Hey, we both love the Muppets. Let's do that." And perfect. Absolutely perfect. No one else, had that one yet. And so there you go. Now, by no means are we Muppets experts. We're just big fans. So bear with us. And the cool thing about this, you're along for the journey too. So we definitely invite you guys to chime in at any time on our Muppets Minute Facebook page. Email us wherever you want, and comment on each of these minutes as we go. But so you'll get to know us as we go on. So let's just start things off with minute 1. And I want to explain out of the gate here which version we're watching. The version we are watching to do this the minute by minute breakdown is going to be the Walt Disney Studios release. It was the Muppet Movie as the nearly 35th anniversary edition, which was released in August of 2013 on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital. And that's the version we're using. Now, there's really no difference in the content of this version between this and previous releases. There were a bunch of VHS releases over the years, and obviously then some DVD releases by Sony and then by Walt Disney. But this is the version we're doing, so it's the only thing that's really that's actually different. The UK version, I guess, is extended a little bit. That's not the version we're doing. And
really?
Yeah. But nothing apparently that's
that's 2 whole episodes, yeah. Nick.
That's right.
Well, you know what I was going to comment on right off the top was, especially since you said this was a recent, what'd you say, 2013? Sorry.
Yeah.
Release. Yeah. Why is there no Disney card off the top?
I know.
It's a little strange, right?
Well, the version we're watching, and we'll talk about it, has the Jim Henson Studios, Jim Henson Pictures logo to start things off. The version that was in the theaters apparently just had what it had, AFD. Associated Film Distribution, I guess.
1979.
Yeah,
correct.
but I think as far as I could tell, when it was released in the cinema in 1979, it just faded in from black and started.
Right, because I don't even think Jim Henson. Well, I mean, was Jim Henson Studios as it is? Well, I don't want to say today. I'm sure it's gone through many iterations, but probably didn't even exist at the time, right? Or was it called something else?
It was produced by Jim Henson Associates.
Okay.
And ITC Entertainment, which was a British television company, because you may or may not know that Muppets show which had been already in this. It was in its third year.
Yeah, it was in its 5th.
No, it was only in its third year when they
started producing the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it was filmed actually at L Street Studios over in England.
In the UK, yeah.
Yeah. So
and this also probably took a couple years to make, right? It took a long time. The movie.
You know what? It took a relatively, I think, a little amount of time. They started, script development began in 1977. And then when they started production in 1978, it only took them 90 days.
Wow.
90 days to film. Not to edit and put together the film, I don't think.
Right.
To film.
You'd think that the actual filming of this movie would be the most difficult aspect of it.
You would think so, yeah.
That's very impressive.
I think they had it down, I guess.
90 days? This
90 days.
movie is how long? 95 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was very, very impressive, especially, for the time, I think. We'll obviously get into how many people were involved in making this movie, but it was a lot, needless to say. And this... It really did come together, I thought, relatively quickly. When I started researching that, I was shocked at that as well.
Yeah.
So the movie was the movie was originally titled The Muppet Get Together.
Really?
Yes, that was the initial outline. That was the initial title on the first outline. So
I think that was a good decision to change that title.
Right? I mean, you can't go wrong with the Muppet movie.
You really can't.
People already knew, the Muppets obviously pretty famous by then. And filming started on July the 5th, 1978. So as we said, the movie, the version of the movie we're watching opened with the Jim Henson's picture logo, which basically Kermit the Frog manning the camera and cranking up the boom. Pretty cool, pretty iconic for a lot of the Jim Henson pictures.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention too before we hop right in is the actual movie poster. The original movie poster, I believe, is a Drew Struzan illustration. Have you seen it?
I've seen a couple of the posters. You talking the really cool cartoon one, collage?
Well, the illustrated one where Piggy and Kermit are kind of like in a Empire Strikes Back like embrace.
Oh, that yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's Drew Struzan. I can recognize it, and he's obviously famous for doing all those amazing illustrated movie posters back when they used to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
He pretty much did like every single movie in the 80s that you have heard of.
I will say, when I was researching this and did see the movie poster for the Muppet movie, I want a copy now. I need to order one.
It's amazing. I seriously, and that imagery is very iconic. They actually call that although you know what, this would have been before Empire Strikes Back,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Empire Strikes Back was 80,
right?
So this would have been a year before that. So that is really funny. He based that Han and Leia pose off Kermit and Miss Piggy. That is amazing. I love it.
Not the other way around, right? Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Wow.
So we can't call that the Han and Leia. It's kind of like the Gone with the Wind. I think that's kind of what it's based off of. It's like the Gone with the Wind pose. But so we can't claim that he made that up. But that is really funny. I had no idea that this came first. That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
But anyway, I think the poster is worth mentioning because it's beautiful, as all of Drew Struzan's works are.
And Jim Henson's name gets kind of scrawled across the screen, and we know this is we're in for a treat. We're in for a Jim Henson Muppet movie. Then we kind of fade in from black, and we start off at the Worldwide Studios movie lot, and we see this globe spinning, and if you notice, there's a little diamond. Did you notice the little diamond-like marker where Hollywood would be?
No, but I should pull up the minute and scroll through here with you.
Yeah, I mean, this is the I guess that we're gonna go through this a lot. This is the point of going through it. So minute by minute, you notice these things, and that's not something I ever noticed because the globe's spinning way too fast, for your eye to really catch it. But there's like a gleam of a little I don't know, some kind of teardrop or like a diamond-like jewel over Hollywood on the big globe.
That's their ultimate destination.
Yeah. And then you got the chiseled director, dude.
I can see it. That's so funny. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start to have to train my eye to notice this kind of stuff.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, how many times did I scrub through this minute? It was crazy.
I can see a flying nun back there.
There definitely is. There is a ton of cool characters back there. Worldwide Studios. So this is an actual CBS studio lot. It's still there today. Right now, it's actually the corner of Mary Tyler Moore Avenue and Gilligan Island Road.
Nice.
And it's a couple of sound stages there. They built that fake facade, obviously.
That doesn't really look real.
Right. Yeah. So that's not really a gate to a movie studio right there, but they kind of built that for the.
Although I have to say, because I'm a crazy Who Framed Roger Rabbit fan, the font on that looks exactly the same as Maroon Studios in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, it looks the same to me.
Yeah.
But so maybe they reused the letters.
Very well, could be. I mean, and it's, like you said, there's a ton of characters. It's a working movie studio, and we have a lot of people back there. Now, there's some really cool resources out there, and one of them that I came across, it's kind of like Jim Henson, the Jim Henson family or the Jim Henson Company archives put out a lot of stuff online. They put out some great books. One of the things I found is some original production notes written by someone on Henson's staff, as Jim was kind of talking about what he wanted to see in this opening scene. And we'll talk about what we see, but he basically just has a list of genres. He has pirates,
maybe a Western,
sportsmen. Yeah, he has cowboys, rock concert, opera, magic show, circus, Shakespeare, and it's like all these things written down, and that's kind of what he wanted the background to look like. So yeah, you mentioned the nun. We definitely see a nun, and I think behind her on the steps are people like dressed in like Egyptian Cleopatra type clothing, era clothing. The thing that I'm really concerned about or interested in. The nun kind of walks past something that's in front of the steps. It's on a tripod, and it's this white circle with a round dot in the middle, which I think looks like a light or a nose of some kind, the head swaying back and forth. And I have...
Oh, yeah, it looks like a droid or something.
What is that?
Yeah, it looks almost like a robot of some kind.
Right? And it looks like it's on a tripod, but I can't really tell. You'll get a closer look as you scrub through later in the minute. Not a closer look, but a different look at it.
That is weird.
I don't know what the heck that is.
I don't either, but that's definitely
it's this weird thing that caught my eye.
I have a question. In all of your research, do you have any clue who the guy standing on top of the studio's logo is supposed to be?
No, I don't know if it was based on a specific guy. I think it's just, they just...
Just a dude.
Yeah, it's just a dude, and to me, it looks pretty cheesy. It looks very Village People-esque.
Right, he's got almost like a French beret, and it looks like he's wearing like a onesie.
Yeah,
like there's no definition of any kind of clothing. I'm like, there's nothing really about that dude I can tell who or what he's supposed to be. I guess he's supposed to be a director because he's holding the megaphone thing.
That's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes me think director. The rest of it, he looks like a construction worker in shorts. He really looks kind of chiseled too. He looks kind of like buff. I don't know. Well, he is holding up the globe, so he should be buff.
Yeah.
Some other people see. So we see the guys wheeling the glass door down the main street there, and then we see our first Muppet. This Muppet is credited as the very first Muppet ever on the big screen.
Wow.
And his name is Dog Lion.
Really? He's not okay. And it's not Sweetums.
No, it is.
Where did you read this? I'm just curious. Is this in the notes?
This is in the notes. It can be found like on the Muppet. I definitely found that in the Muppet Wiki, but I think I also found a reference to it on the Henson archives. There's actually a really, really cool.
I see him on here. I Googled him.
Yeah, there's a really cool sketch, and it says it's.
Aww, he looks like the guy from. Sorry, he looks like the guy from Where the Wild Things Are.
He does,
doesn't he?
Yeah. A little bit.
Oh.
There was a sketch that I found. It's in the Jim Henson archives, and it says Jim wants you to make a doggish thing. Somebody inside. Let's see, brown, very shaggy, Sweetums like in movement. So that's that's basically what they came up with there, and they basically combined a dog and a lion, and came up with Dog Lion.
That's really funny.
It's a full.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Very first, and he'll make an appearance a little bit later on here, but we got it's a full-bodied Muppet monster featured on the Muppet Show in the Beauty and the Beast sketch. First of all, let's see. He holds the distinction of being the first ever Muppet to grace the silver screen. And he appeared on the 1990 The Cosby Show episode Cliff's Nightmare.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
He did. He was on the Muppets Tonight show with an episode with Sandra Bullock as well.
Mm-hmm. So. Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock.
Well, yeah, nice
Sandra.
try. You tried.
There you go. So yeah, and there's been a lot of puppeteers that have performed him, including Jim Henson and Frank Oz.
I wonder who performed him in this shot, because that would be actually kind of cool if it were like one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, since it was such a big moment. But yeah, you could barely see him, and you don't see his face even. He's just running away from us.
No, yeah,
So,
exactly. And I think it's cool that they kind of, put one guy in there, and it was one of the big ones, the kind of lesser known,
Yeah. This is funny because it reminds me very much, and maybe, again, I have to bring up Roger Rabbit. I feel like maybe that movie took some stuff from this movie, because it would have maybe been inspired by a scene like this, when Eddie Valiant is walking around and he's interacting with all the different Toon characters, but they're all just treating it like it's normal.
Right.
Like this is just life.
Yeah.
Like no one's like, what's that crazy shaggy carpet running away? Like nobody even seems to care. It's just part of the studio.
Right.
So
exactly.
And I think the Muppets in general are treated that way. Like even in the show and in everything, it's just they're Muppets, but like nobody thinks they're out of place or odd. Like they're just performers.
And that's what really makes the show work. The fact that no one thinks they're odd, that you just interact them like any other human being.
Exactly.
That's the brilliance of the Muppets, because then they could just interact in real life like everybody else. And that's part of the humor, because you're like, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I see a pirate guy, like a guy with a pirate hat walking around.
Yep.
Let's see. I also spotted a guy in a top hat talking to what looks like maybe a horse rider of some kind. It looks like he has one of those whips for the horses.
And what appears to be Agent Smith is there as well.
Yeah, you see. Okay. You see
one of the other agents,
like with glasses.
He looks like a Secret Service agent or something. Guy. Yeah. Maybe he's just a security guy.
I see like an old school, like either maybe a priest or a scholar. I don't know. He has a big funny hat on.
Well, maybe he's just hanging out with that nun.
Could be with the nun. There's definitely another nun down the street a little further as well. Another shot of the creature as he kind of turns the corner, so you get another view of him, Dog Lion. And then we get to the security booth. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, is this what a real working movie studio looks like? It's what we think of it as being.
I would say in this time period, perhaps.
Yeah.
Not now.
No,
I don't think. No.
Why would it be different? Yeah.
I just don't feel like everyone would be just out like in the middle, like all simultaneously just running around. I feel like that's, movie magic. That's just for the sake of movie. Like a studio can be completely bustling. Like I've walked around many studios and it doesn't look like that. Like most everyone is just working inside their respective buildings. It's like, it's not like everybody's like crossing at the same time and like having a big powwow in the middle of the hall. I mean, you know what I mean? We see this a lot in movies, and I think it definitely gives the illusion of, wow, this is a wacky studio with like 8 different movies being filmed simultaneously, and they're all taking their lunch at the same time. Like it works. This is definitely something that movies return to several times, especially if they're talking about kind of the more golden days of making movies. Like, do they say ever in the movie, and I don't remember what year this is supposed to be? Is it supposed to be 79, or is it supposed to be earlier? Like, do we know, or is it just supposed to be kind of timeless? I mean, it makes sense to me that maybe it's just kind of supposed to be timeless especially because of those notes you just brought up that Henson's like, okay, we want a pirate and a cowboy guy. We want it to just be very vague and very kind of, timeless. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like the golden age of movies. We're just supposed to think of it as that sort of time period.
I have a feeling it's fairly timeless. Like, I don't think it's specifically set in 1978 or 79.
Like, look at the cars. Like the cars look kind of more modern, but like Waldorf and Statler's car doesn't. So I mean, it could be,
well, modern for the late 70s. You mean?
Exactly. That's what I mean. Modern for the 70s at the time. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Who
knows?
Well, they definitely tried to have some cool classic cars in the film, specifically. And Waldorf and Statler are in one of them. But
we can assume that the story Kermit is telling happened years before this. Right. So not even this scene, but like the actual meat of the movie could have taken place at any point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think so. I don't think in this particular movie, I don't really recall, because sometimes obviously they interact with people who are that actor.
Yeah.
But I think in this movie, all the famous people play roles. Like Steve
They don't
Martin
play
doesn't come on as
themselves.
himself, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So that would kind of date it a little bit if they were like,
Yeah.
you know.
I think you're right. I mean, we could be wrong. We'll find out later on. But I think you're right. I think they all just kind of play like, oh, the busboy or the waiter, or you know. So I think it could be any time. I don't think they're trying to nail us down into a specific year.
Right, which is cool. I think so. I think they're playing contemporary, and I even think if I again, you know, this is something we'll see as we go on. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't even think when they do the flashbacks, it's not like us starting a movie in 2017 and looking back to the 90s and then specifically telling a story from 2017 in the 90s.
Right.
And we'd make a point of calling out that this is the 90s. We'd specifically put things in there. And I don't think that's what this movie did.
Okay.
You know, it's not like this movie went back to the 60s and, everything's going to look like the 60s, you know, as the Muppets try to get together.
Well, we can try and figure this out as we move along. If anything, you know, jumps out at us as dating the movie, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And as you said, we see Waldorf and Statler now, which a lot of people, including myself, thought these were the first two Muppets we saw, but obviously we got a glimpse of Dog Lion. Mm-hmm. But these guys right up here, two of my favorites. And,
I think they're two of everybody's favorites.
And it's actually a really well done shot because we start with the security guard. And one of the things that I found surprising is the continuity with everything going on in this film. They really did a good job of continuity, and I feel like this scene worked well with the security guard kind of picking up his clipboard and turning towards the window, and then you have the shot which looks like we're looking from the security guard out to the car. Through the booth, which is neat.
Yeah. Well, and I want to make a comment on that too.
Yeah.
And this, I think, because I work in animation, and I think that this sort of movie, even though it's not animation, is very similar to animation because you have to have everything so specifically set up. Mm-hmm. You know, and we have to storyboard. I'm certain every panel of this was storyboarded out extensively. Whereas maybe a lot of live action movies don't necessarily take advantage of that. So it's probably not as amazing as you think. It's probably very planned out. That was just going to be my point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't mean amazing, but like it's not a serendipitous thing. Like I'm sure that it was completely planned that way. So
right. It's just really well done.
Yeah.
Knowing what we're working with here.
Exactly.
Waldorf and Statler arrive. Waldorf throughout the film is primarily puppeted by Jim Henson. Mm-hmm. And Statler is Richard Hunt. As we go on, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the people involved here. Richard Hunt was actually a puppeteer for many decades for Henson, 69 through 92. Fortunately, died pretty young. He died at age 40 due to AIDS-related complications. And the Muppet Christmas Carol was actually dedicated to his memory. I didn't know that. It's a fun start to the movie. What I really like about this. By the way, I didn't even mention it. The score, which I'm sure obviously we'll be talking a lot about music during these minutes, but it's a happy, upbeat little tune to get us like started. It really fits the scene. It really fits a bustling like studio of things kind of happening. It's definitely a lighter tune, and it's just kind of happy, kind of coming along, and it's a really nice start to the film we're gonna see. Yeah,
Paul Williams and Kenneth Asher, responsible for the score.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure Paul Williams did a lot of the songs too, but we'll get to that.
Just in passing, I'm sure, again, we'll talk about this in more depth later, but I think it was nominated in the music categories at the very least. And I'm not sure exactly what, but...
It also won a Grammy for Best Album for Children.
Oh, wow. This movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The Muppet Movie.
That's like the
soundtrack.
Yeah.
The soundtrack, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. That makes sense.
So maybe not an Oscar, but a Grammy, which, for music people is an even bigger deal. So
pretty darn good. There's a cool picture out there of the start of filming for this, and Scooter actually ceremoniously started things off with the clapper thing. What's the name of those things that they clap to? Is it clapper?
Oh, the
something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think it's a clapper. I think it's called a
Something.
clapper.
Yeah. So he had the Muppet Movie Scene A Take One, and he started things off on day one of shooting for the
Really?
for the film. Yeah.
That's cute. I didn't know that.
They had Scooter do the honors there. Anything else about minute one?
No, I'm excited to get into minute 2.
There was a lot here. It's funny because I was like, okay, we're not really seeing any Muppets yet. We're not really getting the story. When I started really looking at minute one, I was like, oh, darn, there's a lot of people back there.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to talk about than you always initially think. So
yeah. So there's a ton going on there. We leave it off with Waldorf and Statler driving onto the movie set lot, and let's see where they're headed next minute. So everybody, definitely check out MuppetsMinute.com. We're going to have a lot there. We're going to have, you can check out past episodes. Of course, if you're not already, please go ahead and subscribe on iTunes. And if you are, leave us a comment there, so a review, so people can help people find this Muppets Minute podcast. And
we're also on Facebook.
Yep.
Muppets Minute, and then Twitter is @Muppets Minute.
We're going to also give you guys opportunities. We're going to have a lot of special stuff. One thing we're doing is we have a Patreon account set up, and you can find out more about that at MuppetsMinute.com. Now, of course, we just appreciate you coming here listening to us. We put this together, and we it's fun for us to do it, and I hope it's fun for you guys to listen to there. But if you want to help support the show in different ways, you could go there. We're going to have lots of cool stuff as we kind of go on. We're going to have some content that's specific to our Patreon members, some specific shows, things like that. And we're going to have some original art giveaways as well, which will be a lot of fun. Annie happens to be a handy dandy artist. Pretty good. A lot better than me. If you don't subscribe to Patreon, I'll send you an original piece of artwork, and you won't like that because
Nick will send you artwork until you become a Patreon.
There you go.
Member.
That's
to make it stop.
To make it stop, yes. You don't want to see my take on a Muppet. But anyway, so please check that out at MuppetsMinute.com. We'd definitely appreciate that. And I guess we'll see you next time for minute 2 of Muppets Minute.
See ya.